Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Coach. Live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined by my partners in crime, the professors in the building. How you feeling this evening, Professor J?
Feeling good, feeling fresh, feeling fine. Looking at all y'all beautiful people out there. I got one thing and one thing only. Praise the Lord. Let's get it.
Amen.
I got my brother J3 in the building. How you feeling, J3?
Feeling great, man. I have to subside with my brother Jay. It's good to see everybody. Let's get it in.
Amen.
Sitz is in the building. What's going on, Sitz? How you feeling?
What's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. I second that emotion. What's up, Ed? I had to get you back.
And of course, we got my man Ed. What's going on, brother Ed?
What up, homies in crime? What's going on?
Yes, sir.
Ready to talk some sports today?
What it
Get
did.
it.
So this evening, we will do our Summer Olympics wrap-up. Talk about the NFL Hall of Fame honorees and a little NFL League update news. Do some NBA news updates. Some other topics that caught our attention. We got Professor J in the post takes and our final post of the evening. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. So, fellas, I first got to start this show by saying I was wrong. The Summer Olympics actually were held and finished without too many issues as far as the COVID-related type of issues. So, I don't know about y'all. I enjoyed it. Y'all know I'm a sports geek, so I was geeking out on all these different types of things. I watched skateboarding, BMXing, track cycling, road cycling, of course, boxing, basketball. Did some weightlifting. Even watched the women's handball gold medal game. So I was all over the place. That's just me. What ended the final medal count, the U.S. ended up on top with 113 total medals, 39 being gold. They ended up taking the lead for the gold on the final day of the Olympics, beating out China, who came in second with 88 medals and 38 golds. And Russia, or as they were called in this Olympics,
The ROC.
Russian Olympic Committee, because Russia is banned. I mean, really? But
Horrible.
But the biggest people I want to talk about first as far as the Olympics is real simple. The most dominant group that's been in the Olympics, possibly ever, is our U.S. women's basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Dominance. Total dominance.
They just won their 7th straight gold medal, which is the longest streak of consecutive team goals, tying in with the U.S. men's basketball team for the early on. And we got to shout out the two GOATs that were on the team, Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi.
Mm-hmm.
You both won their 5th gold medal for Team USA. I mean, they are monsters.
Well deserving.
Absolutely.
Possibly the best point guard ever to play women's basketball. And if you don't know about Diana Taurasi, you better ask somebody.
It's familiar.
Ain't that
Because if women's basketball was popular as men's basketball, they'd be talking about her like she was Jordan, because she's been a monster for years. So
Yeah.
that's what I'd like to start off with. Did y'all happen to see any of the women's basketball? We also got to shout out the U.S. women's volleyball team. They won their first ever gold medal after time for years. But let's start off with the women's basketball. Y'all get a chance to check out any of the basketball games?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Love them
yeah.
all. and the 3x3. I think the women, they brought the fire, they backed it up. I think that everything that they did on the court really shows their total dominance. And it doesn't look like, fellas, that dominance is going to end anytime soon.
No,
we
indeed.
have some young pups that are coming up in the WNBA. I know we won't see Bird and Taurasi again, but we certainly have our fair share of young women that are coming up that will continue that dominance. Just watching them play was just dazzling for me, and it really does a lot for the women's game, I think. And those of you that aren't paying attention to the WNBA, you need to put some eyes on that starting very soon, because they're just as competitive, both on fire and ready to play each night, just like the men. And I'm really looking forward to when we can safely go back to these arenas, because WNBA is definitely on my list. I love the Mystics. Definitely want to make sure we support the game, but they did what they came to do. Unlike the men, it was never in balance, y'all. We knew they were going to come home with the gold, but it was a little shaky for the men. But yes, Big Reg, I'm with you. Those games were very entertaining, and those women are great.
And yeah, there was never any doubt, like Professor said, that the women were going to handle their business. I mean, they've been doing this for 7 Olympics straight, so there was never any doubt in our minds that they were going to do what they needed to do. And shout out to them. And like, they need, and I'm glad the flowers are, coming, even if it's kind of, at a stagnant pace, but coming nonetheless. But they definitely deserve their just due, because women's basketball is super entertaining. You got a lot of like people who can ball, a lot of women who can ball. It like each game is like it's like a nail biter. And if you don't know, you better get familiar.
And the good thing about it is they want to play for the USA Olympic team, unlike the men who, they if they feel like it, they'll go out and participate. But these women are really looking forward to it, and you can tell in their gameplay. I mean, they play together and they get it done.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm having a little technical problems over here. Can you guys hear me?
You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, if I can comment on the women's basketball, I actually watched the gold medal game, which is weird. I was where I was at the time. It was on, so I was like, okay, well, let me get into this and see what happens. But I'm glad I did, if nothing else, because I'm familiar, and all you guys are, because you follow women's basketball. But Brittany Griner, I think she was the reason we won the game. I mean, we would have won regardless. Let's. But her and Brianna Stewart were clearly better than everybody else. But Brittany Griner, I mean, I know she's had some issues as far as her, off the basketball court, but on the basketball court, make no mistake, I don't think there's any woman alive that really could stop her from scoring in the paint. I mean, that's how dominant she is. I mean, she's 6'8", 6'9", well decorated in high school, college, and now the pros. But to go to what you were speaking on, J3, and as far as participation is between the pro men and the pro women, I think the women are more used to. There are a couple things I think are at play. Number one is I think the salaries are so different that the women, I think there's more motivation as far as being visible and maybe getting more sponsorships and what have you. So I think that comes into play. They're used to playing international ball, because a lot of them play in Europe, in the Middle East, in the Far East. So a lot of them are used to traveling overseas, and they probably even have fan bases already in play. So I think that's a factor. And just by playing and participating, maybe they're they're actually growing their sport, with the American audience. They're saying, look, we play a style of basketball that is entertaining, that is very competitive, and really it's dominant, because if you think about it, it's the women's basketball that is still dominant on the international stage, whereas the men's, they win games and they win the gold, but I don't necessarily think they're clearly the most dominant teams, participating at that time. So hats off to the women. Well-deserved victory. But again, Brittany Griner, beast.
Yeah. And what's nice, like you said, a lot of these ladies play overseas for their main source of income. They make more money in Europe and Asia and Russia playing. Some of them make 7 figures playing women's basketball over there, but we can't figure it out over here. That's another story.
That's gotta change.
Yeah, but yeah. Breanna Stewart and Brittany are the future leaders of the team. What's nice about the way the U.S. women's, they pass the torch. I mean, if you look at the coach of this team, Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley became the first person. First of all, she's a 3-time Olympic gold medal winning player. She passed the torch to Sue Bird. She played with Sue Bird in the Olympics.
That's crazy.
She was an assistant coach, won gold medals with Gino, and now being the head coach of this team, lead the team to the goal. She said, "I'm done after this. I did my duty. I'm out." So we'll see who the next. But they are set up. They had 6 first-time Olympians, so they've restocked the group, and you probably have 4 more next year because, like you said, Sue Bird said she's finally done. Taurasi said see you in Paris, but I think she was just joking. And then you got Sylvia Fowles and Tina Charles, who probably won't be back because both of them, Fowles has 3 gold medals, and I think Tina has 2 gold medals. So it's like,
let's not forget Asia Wilson. She's definitely the future on that squad.
Oh yeah. Asia's going to be one of the big time scorers, and I mean you got to, like you said, there's a bunch of people that's coming that's going to keep the U.S. women right where they want to be. So let's talk about the U.S. men. Again, I have to apologize and say I was wrong. I don't know if I said it on the show, but I definitely did it on social media. Said that KD, somebody else needed to take over the leadership of this team because KD wasn't doing his job.
You weren't wrong.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong.
But KD stepped up. KD stepped up, especially when it came to the game before knockout rounds and through the knockout rounds, and became the dominant leader. But he was helped by Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday had a hell of a summer.
Yeah, let's get it right. Yeah.
Once he got there, Drew Holiday, after he got over his jet lag, Drew Holiday buckled down and said, "We playing defense. If nobody else playing defense, I'm gonna play defense." And everybody else picked up the defense, and that's when they started winning these games handily. So
what was funny was after they started winning, did y'all notice that they never complained about Popovich any longer?
Ain't that something? You're right. You're right, Jay.
That's why I don't even really give this gold any respect. It's kind of like, I ain't even like.
But see, you know what, though, since what you're like you're saying, we're not. The people have to understand those international rosters are littered with players, first and second team all NBA players. So it's not like those players can't compete in America in the NBA at the highest level of basketball. I mean, and these people are playing team ball together, usually probably since their teen years.
Exactly.
And they all participate. Ain't no opt-outs. They're all playing. I mean, they have to. I mean, you got old men playing still. So
Scola.
And you see them crying at the end when they know that that's going to be their last Olympics. That that's such a privilege for them to play for their country.
But since it's the perception, man, it's like, we can't get it in our heads that, hey, these guys,
they can ball. Yeah, they caught up. They caught up with us, as Pop said. The world is caught up.
Because Patty Mills be giving them the blues.
That's right.
Patty Mills.
Who saw Patty Mills like that?
Points. Good Lord.
Patty Mills dropping Patty ain't dropped 40 in like 3 games in the NBA. Much less dropping 40 in a 40-minute game versus a 48-minute. You can see these guys have mad ability, but they conform to what the team asks them to do.
Yes.
Instead of being able to show their full capabilities. What's up, Professor?
we're going to give love to the USA men's team because they're very sensitive. I know
KD's super sensitive.
Getting his kudos. So we're going to
celebrate. I'm going to give you a slow clap.
They want to go.
We also going to break it down and give you the real as well. If it was not for 18 turnovers that France committed in that game, and if Gobert hit more than 50% of his free throws, we just might be talking about a different result at the end of that game. Holiday and Draymond Green brought the energy. I know Durant brought the offense, but if those two did not step up that defense and get the rest of the team ignited and emotionally into that game, I'm telling you, we might be talking about a different result today of this USA team. But yes, kudos for them for making it happen. But what I don't like is the clapback by Durant acting like he was solid the whole time. And my friend, your leadership is still questionable. But we're not even going to go there. You won gold. Congratulations. Those rosters, oh my gosh. The way Gobert was just dominating on the inside. 48 if Fournier played better in that game like he played throughout the rest of the Olympics, he was off. I don't know what was up with him that whole night. But, man, the U.S. did it. I'm glad they did it. But they shouldn't be beating their chest like they blew France out. Because France committed a lot of turnovers that helped them in their victory celebration.
And you know what that did? That, of course, wrote the narrative. Now he's best in the world because he, dominated at the Olympics. And, he's great in international play. I'm like, man, Lord, give me a break.
One thing about the international play is that they let the physicality stand. You know how these boys used to get in them whistles now? Every 5 seconds when they get touched, they wasn't calling them fouls, and they were getting frustrated early on in the Olympics.
I will say this, though, Jamani. KD did step up in the semifinal game. When they were down 15, I mean, he literally just put the ball and his players on his back to get them back in the game. And once they got in the game, they never looked back. So you got to give him props. He definitely stepped up.
Yeah, I give him props for his offense, but
I'll give him a smidgen.
We're talking about leadership. I question his leadership. I know he can play the game. He's a fluid player. He's silky smooth. So, I give his kudos for offense. But as far as his leadership, that's where we can debate.
And we all know everybody's not a leader, bro.
Oh, we know that.
It's in you or it ain't.
A whole lot, but most people want to be a leader, even though they don't realize that they're not leaders. But we'll leave it there. Got to shout out to the Dream Team, the real Dream Team. The U.S. women put together one of the all-time best 4x400 meter relay teams. The leadoff leg was 400 meter hurdles gold medalist and new world record holder Sydney McLaughlin, who's only like 23, 24. Monster. She handed it off to the GOAT, Allison Felix, who has the U.S. track and field record, 11 medals, 7 of them gold.
Yes.
Wow. She passed it off to 400 meter hurdles silver medalist and former world record holder, Dalilah Muhammad. And then it was anchored by this 19-year-old female.
The baby.
Thing Mo. Oh, my goodness. Yo, this 19-year-old is unbelievable. She's the 800 meter gold medalist for this Olympics. And her best event might be the 400.
And she don't even run it.
She had the fastest time in the world this year because her coach made her run it a couple of times.
Well, what's interesting about her is, notwithstanding she's 19, is that she was at Texas A&M for a year and was like, I'm going pro.
Yeah,
I'm signing with Nike. I'm done. I'm going pro. Which brings into question the NIL. So apparently the NIL is lucrative, but it ain't that lucrative. You see what I'm saying? So, she made a business decision that, okay, well, I'm ready. I'm already an elite athlete, one of the best in the world. Well, the best in certain areas. So she just was like, well, I'm I don't need to run at Texas A&M in college anymore. So I think that was interesting. Another interesting thing about that 400 meter 4x400 race, none of them specialize in that 400 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So they were basically participating in a distance that's not really they run. I found that was really interesting. I didn't know that until the end of the race.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. We'll never see anything like that again because, of course, the great Allison Felix announced that this will be her final Olympics, and she's going to go to run her business. She has her own shoe company and clothing line company that she's working with and all that, and she's done her thing. So
can't be mad at her. She's definitely put in work.
Hats off. Did y'all hear Carl Lewis roasting the U.S. men's 4x100 team?
He should have.
That didn't even qualify for the finals in the 4x100 relay.
That's pitiful.
And I agree with him.
I don't know if any of our men won a gold. I think we had one. I think one of our
men's 4x400 meter relay team won the gold.
I think that was the only sprints that we won.
The only gold medal non-field event that the U.S. won. The U.S. men in track and field were horrible this Olympics.
Yeah, you're right.
Horrible. And that 4x100 team was that was laughable what they did. So, yeah, they're going to have to get it together. If it wasn't for women in this Olympics, the U.S. would have looked real bad because they carried them in track. They carried us in most of the team events, and they definitely carried us in swimming because the U.S. men in swimming, with the exception of one person, had a rough time in the pool too. So
they did.
Shout out to the ladies. We appreciate y'all. Y'all doing y'all thing.
Don't forget about the volleyball team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mentioned earlier, U.S. women's volleyball team, first gold medal ever. The men didn't even qualify.
Nope, they lost to Russia, which was
the
sad.
U.S.
OC.
The U.S. women also won the beach volleyball tournament. Nelly Corder won the golf tournament. So we did have 2 U.S. people win the golf tournament. So that was cool.
And what about the women's soccer team?
Tough loss to Canada. They never were in sync, it seemed like, the whole tournament. Their best game was the bronze medal game where they scored, I think, 5 goals and ended up winning the bronze. But, yeah, they were tough. And when their goalie got hurt in the game against Canada early in the first period,
where is Solo when you need it?
But I think they played politics when it came to the women's soccer team because that's one thing we actually are dominant in too. It usually between Canada, U.S. as far as women's soccer is concerned on an international level is usually wins. And I think that they said that they basically have 2 separate squads, and basically they said there was some chatter about they chose the old people instead of the young bucks to go over to the Olympics, and the young bucks are bucking at that, and the old people said, "Nah, it's not that." So who knows what's the truth? I'm not a soccer expert.
That happened with the men in the last Olympics too. They were crying about the old heads being let on or left off and all that kind of stuff. So it's always political.
All right, so that concludes our U.S. Olympic wrap-up. Let's move on to the NFL. Over this weekend, the NFL had their Hall of Fame ceremonies, and unfortunately, because of COVID, the 2020 inductees, which was the centennial anniversary for the NFL, so they actually had 20 people scheduled to go into 2020. That was put off. So they had the 2020 and the 2021 classes both enshrined this weekend. The 2020 on Saturday, 2021 on Sunday. The newest members of the modern era, which are the newest people who are eligible, 2020, Troy Polamalu, safety of the Steelers, Edgerrin James, running back, primarily of the Colts, Isaac Bruce, wide receiver of the Rams, part of that greatest team on turf, one of the hardest hitting safeties, Steve Atwater, the Broncos.
Out time.
Was he?
And one of the best offensive linemen of all time, Steve Hutchinson. And then you got your coaches in. Jimmy Johnson finally gets in. If nobody saw how they surprised Jimmy Johnson by getting in the NFL, Google it. They did it last year during the season. They were doing a show and surprised him at halftime of the show. He had no idea. Just a great piece.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
good too.
The great Bill Cowher of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you had the senior committee. They allowed the senior committee to then put in a bunch of people that probably should have been in a long time ago. The great Donnie Shell, safety of the Steelers. One of my favorite, Harold Carmichael. Yeah. I hated him watching him because he seemed like he was 6 forever and always out jumping your DBs and just killing you, especially during the goal line. But he was a hell of a receiver for his time.
Yeah, my in-laws love him.
Alex Karras, who a lot of people know more from being an actor than an actual football player, but he was a rough and tumble defensive tackle for the Rams back in the day, and a few others out there. Was there anybody in the 2020 class that stood out for you guys before we get to the 2021 inductees?
I liked Edgerrin James's Hall of Fame speech. I just loved how that was motivating. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, people count me out because of my gold teeth and my dreads, and not knowing me as a man and as a player. But look at me, I went from gold teeth to a gold jacket. I mean, that's a mic drop right there.
Class act, truly a class act.
Right.
And don't forget the part he added. Most people were surprised to know that I never had any type of criminal record. And everybody told me I was going to end up in a criminal institution. So now I remember what his number was. I think it was like 348 or whatever it was of the Canton Correctional Institution.
I like that.
So that was a great one. Anybody else have anybody that stood out to come in? Ed, you had multiple Steelers. I know you got some.
It's not necessarily fair.
Okay.
I'm not going to gloat. I mean, I watched every single Hall of Fame induction speech that a Steeler did a couple times. And the one thing is, I kind of was disappointed with this Hall of Fame induction, and it was I didn't like the format. I didn't like the 12-minute limit. I understood why they probably wanted to do it that way, but I just felt that like a lot of people and a lot of things that the players wanted to share, like in the past, like different stories, or they can actually name like several of their teammates that were like important to them. You didn't get that this year. You got a couple, they'd mentioned a couple people, but they wouldn't really necessarily go into depth. But again, I liked everybody. I liked all the speeches, man. I liked all the speeches. They were fine. They were just short.
Yeah, I like the short speeches because years ago when he was the running back for the Marshall Faulk. His speech was so freaking long. I was so irritated by the time that he was done. I like the time limit because if you want to go long, then do a 30 for 30. I mean, we can get all the rest of it. But you had so many people this year. Let's get through it and let's have some type of flow. Get your best story, tell your story, and let's move on. So, Ed, I can't walk with you on that one because sometimes these cats, when they don't have a time limit, it's like you want to thank everybody down to the Pee Wee coach from 1972. And I'm like, dude, I don't need to do all this. I'm at ESPN for a 30 for 30, and we can get your whole story. But I love all the speeches, even though Drew Pearson was getting on my nerves, slobbing, Roger Starbuck, and all the huts and all that kind of mess. But, and that's not about Dallas hate or anything. He was just irritating me with all of that. But I just love the fact that, folks like Steve Atwater, even though it pains me to say it, but Jimmy Johnson is a class act. I know he was a Cowboys coach, but he is a class act. And his interactions with the owner down there, I thought said it all about who was really at fault between what went awry with their relationship. Just a guy that really showed that he can let bygones be bygones, and he did his thing. I'm happy that he's in, probably more than anybody else, and that's painful to say as a Washington fan, but Jimmy Johnson was the one that stood out for me the most.
I love Jimmy Johnson because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he was already in the college football.
Yeah, but I mean, just for him being with the U, I mean, yeah, pro Dallas.
Yeah, you had to get that in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also got to shout out my man Steve Sable.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And if you're not familiar with Steve Sable, I just want to tell you, all these great highlights and these NFL film clips that you're seeing, his father started the company, who's also in the Hall of Fame. Steve Sable took NFL films to another level, and made how we watch NFL today all because of his innovation. So shout out to the great Steve Sable.
And to that point,
that he get to do his speech because he died early because of cancer. Somebody had brain cancer.
Yeah.
And to that point, before you move on, as a kid, and this is a testament of what you just said. As a kid, I remember my dad had all the Super Bowls on Betamax, right? It was
I remember.
That's how I really started to love football, when I watched from Super Bowl I all the way up to whatever current one was at that time, and I watched them back to back. That's true. Hey, young people, that's true binge watching right there. The next one there. I really fell in love with NFL, and Steve Sable was like that
narrating, man. You want to talk about getting narrating? That's like Morgan Freeman level type.
Right. That's a good analogy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One last thing I want to say, I going back to Drew Pearson, like I definitely want to salute him because I remember that painful moment that they showed on TV when he thought he was going to get called that prior year and he didn't, and you can see the emotion that he was going through. So for him to finally get, in this time, I'm happy.
Man, suck it up, because Mark Monk had to wait many years after.
Exactly.
Well, technically, he didn't get in. He didn't get in 2020. He was part of the 2021 class.
Oh, 2021. Oh, well, for him to get in, period. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the 2021 class, and the 2021 class had 3 monster first timers, starting with the great, as they called him, the sheriff.
The sheriff,
Manning, quarterback, coach,
Omaha.
Then you follow with Megatron, Calvin Johnson, wide receiver, Detroit Lions, who had his career cut short. And to hear his story about he suffered a career-threatening injury in his back his first year and played through that. It's crazy. The great Charles Woodson.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Great Charles Woodson.
Well deserved.
And then you had John Lynch.
Well deserved.
Nice, great safeties who made the Tampa 2 possible. Without John Lynch, there wouldn't have been a Tampa 2. Alan Faneca, another Steeler. I mean, God, y'all was deep over the weekend.
It's
and
drafted.
then, of course, got in the 2021 class. The coach in the 21 class, I want to talk about him for a second. Tom Flores.
About time.
Way too late. The first Latino/Mexican NFL quarterback ever. The first Latino/Mexican assistant coach ever. The first NFL head coach ever from his background. The first front office executive ever from his background. Won a Super Bowl as a player and won 2 Super Bowls as a head coach.
Nice.
Why did he have to wait till 83?
Well, because Al Davis isn't selected on the selection committee, and he's since left us. But Al Davis, you can say what you want about Al Davis and the Raiders, but Al Davis would hire a black person as a coach or a quarterback or an executive He would hire obviously a Latino person as a coach, executive, or a player. And he would hire women. Now he couldn't hire him necessarily as a player, but he did show that he would hire him as executive. So for a lot of criticism that Al Davis used to get as far as the public is concerned, behind the scenes, he was putting in work as far as bringing everybody up, with him. So I have to give my hats off to Mr. Davis. I know he's no longer with us, but I just want to put that little thing in there.
True story. And last but not least, in the 2021, again, another Steeler, but I got to give a special shout out to this man, Bill Nunn.
Yeah.
Scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the person who introduced HBCU players in numbers to the NFL, who opened the door because Pittsburgh was bringing in so many good HBCU players and dominating that the other NFL teams said, hell, we got to start going to these HBCUs. We need some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So without Bill Nunn, the talent that was in the HBCUs may have never seen the NFL. So what y'all think about the 2021 inductees on Sunday? Did anybody's speech or anything happen on Sunday jump out there to you?
Well, Peyton's, of course, was entertaining.
When is he going to get on TV? That's what I was. When he was giving his speech, I was like, "Why isn't he on TV yet?"
Well, he signed a deal. I guess he was waiting for Eli. Him and Eli are going to do the Monday night game on ESPN2. They're basically going to be like sitting in their living rooms, talking football, watching the game, and commentating that way. Because he doesn't want to get in a traditional booth.
That's cool. He got that right. I mean, that's actually a good concept. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Well, they'll be explaining. They'll have a lot of humor involved, and both of them know the game inside and out. And I think they'll be able to explain it in a way that most people can understand.
And they're gonna have some barbecue on the side too.
Right, they're gonna have some snacks, of course. And I like how they play off each other. They're really funny.
I'm looking forward to that then.
And how many people have the stones to, clown on Ray Lewis in their speech? Yeah, that was funny. It like Ray just finished his speech from 2018.
He should have said that about Marcus Falk. Talking. But I think what stood out for me was Charles Woodson. And again, the way that he tormented Notre Dame when he was in college, this is hard for me to give him kudos. But Charles Woodson is a class act. I think that he showed not only with his prowess on the field, he's become a great commentator off the field and analyst, but the way that he articulately spoke about, the game, what it meant to him, the people that put him in place. To me, his speech was like one of those mentoring speeches that we give to our young men to kind of galvanize them and get them ready for the next level of life that they're looking forward to. I thought that he was extremely genuine. It stood out for me because he showed that same class on the podium that he showed, throughout his career. And like I said, being a Wolverine, I got to give him his props where they're due. And I just think that he's well deserving of being where he is in the Hall of Fame. But it stood out for me the most for that class.
Yeah, but we got to keep it 100 since we post. He got to let that ascot go, man.
I'm here.
You gotta let that ascot go, man. Sorry,
but that is his look, though, Big Ray.
I was getting ready to say that's his signature look.
Every time, the ascot.
Yeah, that's his thing.
And he definitely stands out.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Exactly.
All he needed a cigar and a glass of wine.
I was thinking the same thing, a little sip of cognac, like a
cognac. Not bad.
So the next year's first time eligible will include a crazy wide receiver crop. So one or two of these guys ain't getting in.
Yeah.
You got Andre Johnson, Steve Smith, and Anquan Bolden, all first-time eligibles next year. For you Dallas fans out there, Tony Romo and DeMarcus Ware will be first-time eligible. I think Ware will get in.
How is Romo even?
They just throwing names out, Professor. You don't got to worry about that. He ain't
Think about the team he played for.
He might. I was about to say he might.
No,
Think about the team he played for.
No, he'll get in there in 30 years as an announcer.
As a contributor, you might be right.
Right. But as a quarterback?
No, he ain't getting in there as a quarterback. I got as much chance of getting in there as a quarterback.
Defensive tackle Vince Wilfork.
He'll get in.
Yeah.
Defensive end Robert Mathis, who played for the Colts most of his career. Linebacker Chad Greenway, I doubt it. No. The interesting one's going to be return specialist Devin Hester.
I'm about to go off. I'm going to get on my soapbox.
If they let Hester in and they haven't let B. Mitch in,
that's right.
There's going to be a whole lot of people that's got a whole lot of problems.
That's right.
Yep.
Right here.
Say it.
Because who did he have to pass? B. Mitch. And this reminds me back when James Lofton got in before Art Monk, and Art Monk surpassed him. It's the same stuff all over again. What do people have against the Washington? Well, I don't know. I already know what they got.
I can't believe they said that.
B. Mitch has been sitting there for years at the top of all-purpose yards. I think the next person next to him is Jerry Rice. How in the world can B. Mitch not be in the Hall of Fame? I don't understand it. And Mitchell should be there. Let me make that clear. He should be there, and so should Devin Hester. Because Devin Hester was that beast as well. But the man that he had to surpass was Brian Mitchell. So how in the world can he get in, but Brian Mitchell is not there?
Brian Mitchell was actually more valuable than Devin Hester because Devin Hester was purely returns.
Right.
At least B. Mitch has some versatility within the offense.
He got a Super Bowl ring.
He got a
Super Bowl ring. And got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But as far as those players you named, Big Reg, I only see one getting in as a first timer, and that's maybe Wilford. Everybody else, I don't see getting in.
I hate to say this too, but DeMarcus Ware was a cold beast. Cold.
Andre Johnson, I think, is getting in first ballot. Andre Johnson just played for a horrible organization. If you look at the stats he put out, Houston never had a quarterback.
A big red.
One of the worst offensive lines, and he put up monster numbers with a terrible organization.
Yeah, but wide receivers don't get in normally. I mean, to get in first ballot as a wide receiver, T.O. didn't get in the first ballot Hall of Fame.
That wasn't because of his play. That was because of what he did off the field. Andre Johnson doesn't have any of that.
Which is BS. Yeah, you're right. But that's crazy. But
I would say Anquan Bolden because of his ties with the.
He's gonna have to wait.
Another Super Bowl recipient. He won a ring, though.
If Hines Ward is still waiting, Anquan wasn't better than Hines Ward.
Yeah. Anquan's gonna have to wait. Steve Smith, unfortunately, is gonna have to wait. I think Steve Smith is one of the nastiest small receivers ever to play the NFL. But again, he's gonna have to wait.
But isn't Steve Smith a later version of Hines Ward?
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
It's a fickle game.
I just think
Steve Smith is on the NFL Network, so that's going to help him.
Oh yeah, that's true because Terrell Davis got in.
Ooh,
that's
shots fired. I like Terrell Davis, but he just did not play long enough. That's not.
He really did.
Against Megatron.
Well, Megatron played longer than Terrell. Megatron played at least 9 years, maybe 8, 9.
8.
Yeah. Terrell didn't play long, but he was significant in 2 Super Bowl championships.
Super Bowls, yes.
But Calvin Johnson had to play in Detroit.
I agree with you.
I feel if Terrell made it in there, Bo Jackson should be in there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because that dude changed.
Yeah, he changed the game.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some other NFL news. The biggest news of the week: Josh Allen got paid.
Buffalo.
Give me that paper, baby. Give me that paper.
That's my quarterback.
Buffalo in the house.
Next year, $258 million extension. By the time he's done and he gets to 10 years, his contract's gonna be bigger than the one Mahomes signed.
And it's already bigger. It's already bigger because if you literally break down those contracts, I'm sure you've been on Sports Rec, whatever that thing you go on, Big Reg. But he already set the record for guaranteed money. So he already got $100 million versus 63 for Mahomes. Plus, his contract is 6 years.
Right.
So Mahomes is 10. So Josh Allen is 25, I believe. 25. So by the time he's 31, which that's a quarterback's prime right there, particularly nowadays, he can negotiate a new contract while Mahomes is still serving. And now, of course, I know how with the tricks of the trade, you can say, hey, we're gonna rip this contract up and give you a new one. I know they do that, but nevertheless, that's the type of contract a quarterback should be signing. They shouldn't lock. I wouldn't lock myself in anywhere. And I said it when Mahomes signed this for 10 years, because by then, okay, is Andy Reid still going to be there? Is there going to be a new GM? Is there going to be the Hunts probably still own the team, but still, it just doesn't. It didn't make it to me. It didn't make sense to sign a 10-year contract, a very team-friendly contract. Now, again, with the salary cap, that does help your team win, and I guess it comes to a point where, okay, well, you're getting
enough's enough, right?
Yeah, enough is enough. So, I mean, I get that, but I just think I think his contract was a disservice as far as personally to him. Now, team-wise, it probably wasn't.
Yeah, so as Ed mentioned, he gets the most true guaranteed money. So when you hear these contracts, $258 million, $150 guaranteed, that's not fully guaranteed to the player. $100 million of the contract is fully guaranteed to Josh Allen. He's gonna see $100 million, no matter what happens. Period. The other 50 is guaranteed for injury and stuff like that. He got $16.5 million as a signing bonus up front, and the way they worked it out, it's still team friendly because he only has one real big, huge cap hit, and it's actually next year. And I guess they looked at the way their salary is, they can absorb it. But most of the time, he's going to be in a $30 million range as far as his salary. So the way they structured it was very, very nice. We also had my man Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard was a late second round or early third round pick for the Colts. People will question him. All he did was make all-pro team his first year, his second year, and his third year. He got a 5-year contract extension, $90.5 million, 33 fully guaranteed, making him the highest paid inside linebacker in NFL history. So hats off to them. And a little quiet one, Xavier Howard, cornerback, Miami Dolphins. He had posted on social media that he wanted to trade because he was upset about, what happened with his contract. Now, these NFL players, I'm behind them most of the time, but if you sign the biggest contract ever 2 years ago, you can't be mad that your contract is now not the biggest anymore. So they need to stop that. Talk about I'm only making $13 million this year. Somebody on my team is making 15. Yeah, but what about that signing bonus that you got? See, they don't never want to count that.
Well, he probably recognized how much of a bum that dude from Dallas. What's his name? Byron. What's his name?
Byron Jones.
Byron Jones is. He's probably like, y'all gave this bum $30. Man, I want some money. That's what's going on. That's what happened to Aaron. Like we was talking about Aaron Rodgers. He probably was like, y'all drafted this dude to replace me. Man, fire the GM. I won't report until you fire the GM. So, I mean,
they fully guaranteed Howard's money this year. They fully guaranteed half of his money for next year, and the rest of it becomes guaranteed on the first league day 2022. So basically, they fully guaranteed his next 2 years and gave him some incentives to calm him down because he wasn't going to have it.
Let's see how that translates on the field.
All that money.
Yeah, they making money. And the new NFL deal doesn't kick in for 2 years. The new media rights deal and the new contracts they have with Fox and NBC, the salary cap's going to explode. That's why these teams are looking at these extensions and like, yeah, we can pay a quarterback $40-something million a year because that's actually going to look not too bad come 4 years from now. All right, we got to change it a little bit. We got to talk about Lamar and Kirk Cousins, man. How can you be a leader of, or the face per se of a multi-billion-dollar entity, and you are threatening your team's productivity and play because you don't want to get the vaccination? I understand that everybody has a choice, but you're working for a multi-billion-dollar entity, and you are the starting quarterback. And if you can't play, your team probably ain't going to win. And for Lamar, this is his second time catching COVID.
Second.
So somebody, try to make some sense of this. Yeah.
Make it make sense. I can't. It's just like
must not want to play. They must not want to play. I mean, that's the only logical answer. They don't want to play because there's no reason why you wouldn't take it, knowing it's a contact sport and you have the chance of catching something out on the field. So why not get vaccinated so you can deter that?
So y'all being nice. Tell the folks what we talked about before the show. Where is he from? Where he from?
Florida.
He from South Florida.
Florida.
Yeah. That plays into it a lot, right?
You mean the red state? You mean that red state?
Yeah.
I think you have two separate issues. I think Kurt's situation is a little different than Lamar's. Same stupidity, in my opinion. This all our show is about our opinions. Same stupidity between the two quarterbacks. But whereas Kurt is further along in his career, he's robbed the league of money for several years now. Kirk has generational wealth. So he can be vocal. And if he decides that, this ain't for me, he can ride off in the sunset. Okay, no harm, no foul. I still think it's irresponsible for him not to be vaccinated. Again, my opinion, because of what's at risk as far as his teammates is concerned. Not including him, but his teammates. Because the precautions that all of us take is more for our fellow person than us as individuals. That's how it seems to work. Lamar, on the other hand, I do not get it. The man is 24 years old, maybe 25. I think he's 24. He's a NFL MVP already. He's in line for one of them Josh Allen-like contracts, 40+ mil a year. He's already contracted COVID once, and we don't know to this day what the long-term health consequences of contracting this disease is. And for him to go through that, which at the time he said, I don't wish this on anybody. But yet he recovered. He became seemingly healthy again. And then he contracted it again. So that in the midst of a contract negotiation with millions at stake, again, the rationale behind his decision-making is beyond me. I don't know who he's speaking to. I don't know who his advisors are. I don't know who his agent is. But whoever it is, they need to get into his ear and say, hey, son, I think if you want to participate in this sport and if you want to set yourself up financially for life and your future generations for life, I think you might just maybe want to go get that vaccine.
Just maybe.
That's just my opinion.
When your state governor says, Lamar, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because he knows if they can say Lamar has it, they can go into Baltimore City and start getting people to line up and take this vaccine.
And talking about he needed to talk to doctors. I mean, doctors are only going to tell you one thing.
Get the vaccine.
Get the vaccine.
Matter of fact, I got it right here.
Yep.
I think BJ called it right in the chat, straight dumb. And I agree with you, Ed. I mean, it seems like Jackson has that same mentality that Watson has, where you keep going back to a well that you're not supposed to be going to. And you got it once, why would you go back and get it again? And what's to stop this dude from going back a third time or a fourth time? Whatever he's doing with his life, he's contracting COVID. And then it was so like privilege of Kurt, and I'm really upset about this, for him to talk about, well, maybe I'll put up some plexiglass. I mean, how can you be that tone deaf? How can you play a team sport and then just whittle it down to say, maybe I'll watch my contact, I'll put some...
Of all the dumbest things to say, like your stock is dropping.
Right. And when you say stuff like that, people like me who tried to defend you in the past, just for your play, not for your politics or for this stuff that you're saying now, but you're putting other people at risk. You're playing a game where you make so much money. And if I'm the last guy to make the roster, you making your millions of dollars, I'm making the league minimum. I don't want to catch COVID because that takes me off the field. Man, I might get cut. And then what? So you're not even thinking about the guys that are grinding, trying to stay on the field, trying to make a team, but you want to talk about plexiglass and being funny and being cute in front of reporters. This thing is serious. For those of us who've lost people like to death because of COVID, and you get up there and you make light of stuff like that, it's like you just don't get it. This is more than politics. And Jackson, you're in Charm City. We know the things that go on there. Do the right thing so this team can compete for a Super Bowl. They can't compete if you're on the IR because you keep getting COVID.
Yeah.
How about that?
The sad thing is they said the second bout that he had with COVID hit him hard. He was basically sleeping most of the time these last 10 days he was away.
Right.
So
biologically speaking, folks, you're talking to a biology major. I have a degree. Your immune system can't take so many sicknesses back to back before you are up out of here. So he could get it another time and then be dead after that.
Keep thinking you're invisible if you want to.
Come on. And Washington got a coach that's got a suppressed immune system, and we talking about this stuff.
Switching gears a little bit, you mentioned Deshaun Watson. I just don't know what's going on.
I don't need
they said everything's cool. Deshaun is part of the team, but they let him show up. Then last week he disappeared for 3 days.
Sound like some hush stuff going on down there. That's what it sounds like.
And then
there's still some cover up.
When he practices, he does individual stuff, but they don't let him do team stuff. And then they just recently said Deshaun ain't traveling with the team.
Oh wow!
If just tell the man to go home, that you don't want him there, but you're not going to find him, and get with the league and get this handled until this gets resolved. Just go home. We'll pay you, but we don't want you here.
And
we don't want you showing up because you don't want to get fined.
They playing hardball.
There's something fishy going on because they saying that the police department may have charges pending, then they don't. It's kind of this back and forth. I mean, what are they going to do? They need to just go ahead and drop the card because it's taking too long to come to some type of resolution here.
At this point, the suspense is killing me.
They don't want to let him go. They don't want to let him go, and they know he don't want to be there.
And you can't trade for him. No sane team would trade for him because as soon as he gets traded, you know all the stuff's gonna hit the fan. They like, oh, you think you special? So,
this is what doesn't make sense. I don't understand why Commissioner Goodell hasn't said, "I'm gonna just go ahead and put you on the exempt list," and then that'll be it. He'll still get paid. And he won't get fined, and he'll just be out of sight. He can handle his legal affairs from, however he's doing that, he can take care of that. And then we won't be having these conversations and question about questioning, well, where's Deshaun? I was listening to Sports Talk this morning, driving into work, and they had a guy from Houston Chronicle on there, and he was talking about basically there's been no contact with Deshaun. There's been no interviews. His social media accounts, because that's how everybody's checks things now. It's been active once again, but it's just showing. This is Instagram, just showing, I guess, workouts and what have you. Nothing beyond that. It's just, I think, like I said, I think Commissioner Goodell should just put this in a box, and we've seen him do it before. I don't understand what makes this. There has to be stuff about this case that we don't know.
Something stinks. Because,
but does it really stink sense? Like, there has to be something about this case that the commissioner doesn't want to touch, because if it was bad, because trust me, they have investigators on the ground in Houston. They know what's going on.
But they don't. I think one thing that's dragging this out is because there's an active police investigation going on, they are not allowed to interview any of the ladies. So all they're getting is hearsay, third-party stuff. They can't even interview the attorney of the ladies yet, because the police don't want them to be that involved yet until they finish deciding on what they're going to do. So it's just
shady.
All screwed
up.
It sounds real
what
shady.
I mean by something stinks. Like Houston's there's blood on Houston's hands too. It's real like muddy, and it's hard to make sense of right now.
Yeah, but I still think Commissioner Goodell has suspended and put people on that list for less.
Oh yeah, and one explanation I heard, I believe it was on NFL Network, or if not ESPN on their NFL show, is that what the league has done previously in off seasons is not step in, because technically he's not missing any money, and they don't need him to play. And they think that they'll step in before the season starts, right before the season starts, and make a ruling like that. But in a situation that's so murky as the one he has now with that many people, they needed to shut that down early, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the NBA. Enough with the NFL, because we'll be talking about that from now until February. Hot and heavy. NFL free agency just keeps on churning. Man, the boys of the Olympics some of them got paid. Boy, KD signed a 4-year, $198 million extension with the Nets.
Wow.
Luka just today officially signed his 5-year, $207 million rookie Supermax deal.
Supermax.
The first person ever to qualify that, because he's already been NBA first team All-Pro twice.
Nice.
Luka Doncic is going to be the highest earning player ever in the NBA, because remember, he's only 22. Dude. He's got 7 more years of this contract, with the 2 years remaining and the 5 years. He'll be 29, so he'll be getting a second $200+ million contract, and then he'll only be 34. If he signs a 5-year contract, he might get a third.
Lord Jesus.
And to add to the fact that without question that the NBA and a lot of these corporate people out there, they want him to be the face of the league. We already know.
He got that look.
We can leave it alone.
He got the look. He got the look. Now all I need to do is find him some help.
No, that's Mark Cuban's. That's on Mark Cuban.
Now, there is one person that could possibly catch up to Luka, and that's Trae Young. But he has to make an all-NBA team within the next 2 years. If he does that, his extension that he just signed will kick up to the Supermax level. But other than that, then your boy Kawhi. Kawhi's a mystery. That's all I got to say.
That's J3's boy.
Yes, sir.
He opts out and then acts like he's was thinking about looking at other places, and now I'm going to opt in, but I'm not sure how long I want or how I'm going to do this yet. But just tell everybody I opt in so people stop asking me what's going on. Kawhi, a different dude, man.
He lost points in my book.
Now, would you trust his knees at this point?
Nope.
If I was the Clippers, because they got to be all in, I'd be like, why don't you sign a short-term deal, Kawhi, so you can see if his body going to generate.
Right.
I wouldn't offer him a 5-year extension.
Right.
But he got him. But he got him by where he needs to have him back.
Yeah. I mean, but he's not going to be back like this upcoming season. He's going to like probably miss most, if not all, of next season.
Oh,
so
you know, Kawhi ain't 100%. He ain't playing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He don't play anyway.
I told y'all during the playoffs, I was like, that knee is torn.
It's ACL.
Like, and the way he was chilling up in the booth, he was like, I got the cards here. Man, I'm telling you, he was playing chess this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi know what he's doing.
And you know what, Professor? That's why he didn't go to any. That's why he went to the Clippers instead of the Lakers, because he couldn't be playing. He couldn't be doing all that crap up in the with the Lakers, because Jim was like, I own this team, and the Lakers brand is way bigger than you could ever be. Now the Clippers brand,
Magic Johnson would have been like, let me holler.
Hey, let me talk to you for a while.
now the
So some other big contracts that got done. Professor, your man John Collins got paid. 5-year, $125 million deal to stay with the Hawks.
Salute.
It's good that he decided to stay with the Hawks and stay with Ice Trae. So what they build, and both of them are there for a while. So that should be a nice team.
I'm excited to see that.
The Wizards finalized the deal, which ended up being a sign and trade, getting Spencer Dinwiddie and giving him a 3-year, $62 million deal.
I like that.
Good point.
Your boy Julius Randle got 4 years, $117 million to stay with the Knicks. So the Knicks gave him like 50-something million because nobody would take that money previously on a 3-year deal. So he's like, hey, I love New York.
Ching ching.
Hey, speaking of New York, do you think Kemba Walker is going to hold up? Because he's going to
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised that he agreed to a buyout with Oklahoma City, because Oklahoma City plays shrewd ball. So they was like, yeah, how much money? They haven't announced how much money he gave up, but he gave up millions of dollars to get up out of Oklahoma City.
Well, he signed for $10 million with the Knicks. So
can you blame him though? Because OKC ain't going nowhere.
Right. I mean,
he had 3 years left on that deal.
So it ain't about the money.
To go home. You have the opportunity to go home.
So how much money did you give up just to make $10 million?
Yeah, it was a bet.
But obviously it ain't about the money. It's about him winning.
But you coming home too. He coming home to New York.
And like I said, Oklahoma City's a nice place, and they got good food. But other than that, it's
ain't nothing like the Garden.
I mean, you
in the Garden.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know about all that, but okay.
I mean, he probably already got 50 in the bank. What's the difference? I mean,
That's motivation.
They got Derek to back that move up.
Right.
I feel you. A couple little small signings. Kelly Oubre Jr. continues to bounce around the league.
Oh, where's
signed a 2-year deal with Charlotte.
Reggie
Jackson.
That's gonna be a squad, boy. Let me tell you, Charlotte's sneakily gonna be a squad.
Reggie Jackson.
Dude, have you been watching Summer League?
I agree with you.
You said Summer League.
No, even with the pieces you already have in Bridges, Ball, even the second Ball, who might make the team.
Okay, let me ask you this: who they gonna surpass in the East? Let's have that conversation.
I mean, they'll probably get like the 5th or 6th seed.
Why your voice gets so loud? Who they gonna pass?
I mean, I don't know if they'll pass, and they'll probably hold firm to the seed they had before. The last, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, did they? They'll probably make the 6th seed, 5th or 6th seed. But I like Charlotte.
Okay, we'll talk about that another time. I don't see it. Okay.
When your highest paid player doesn't play 15 to 30% of the games, you got problems. And you signed him to a long-term contract last year.
Oh, Haywood, yeah.
That's the one issue that they got to figure out, because he doesn't fit what they want to do. Now that LaMelo has shown himself that he can be the face of that franchise, and they should build it around him.
Yeah, they run and gun.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson took a short deal. I thought he would be able to get more money, or maybe he just wanted to stay in LA. 2 years, $22 million, stay with the Clippers. And your boy Andre Iguodala is taking his swan song, going back home to Golden State on a minimum deal.
Should have went to the Lakers.
Bench rider.
He going home where he should have never left.
Yeah,
should have left money, stayed in Golden State. But
is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
No,
Iguodala Hall of Fame.
No, he ain't even close. He might be able to get a front row seat to Steph's induction, but other than that,
I don't know.
Never forget Game 7.
He got what? He got 2 rings or 3 rings?
2, I think, right?
2.
No,
I know
he got 3. He got 3.
That's what I thought.
He got
one
3.
down in Miami, right?
All the time. No, he got all 3 in Golden State.
Golden State.
Golden State won 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, 3 out of 5. They would have won 4 if KD and Clay both got injured. Toronto wouldn't have won that championship.
Or they let LeBron come back from 3-1.
How about that?
Never forget.
You'll beg to differ.
How about that? As far as the Hall of Fame, Iguodala will be in the audience as he watches Steph, Draymond, and Clay get inducted.
He gonna be like, y'all without me, y'all some fake.
That's some fake.
I got you your first championship.
All right, a couple of quick things that caught our attention. Man, the Pacquiao Spence fight is off.
Good.
Your boy Earl Spence doing the medical checkups that they have to take before a big fight. They found that he has a tear in his left eye, so he had to pull out. Pacquiao still gonna fight on the 21st because this might be his last fight because he's running for the Philippines president next spring. So if he's successful, he's done with boxing.
I thought I won the election.
Thought
you won the election.
But for you fight fans, I know that's a disappointment on the 21st, but this Saturday, you got 3 different cards on 3 different networks. ESPN has Franco versus Maloney 2 for the WBA regular junior bantamweight title fight. Plus, on that card, Nico Ali Walsh has his professional debut. Yes, Ali. He is the grandson of Muhammad. Showtime. John Riel Casimiro against Guillermo Regendorf for WBA and WBO bantamweight titles. So they're combining titles. Plus Antonio Russell, one of the Russell brothers from local here, is fighting for his first title against Emmanuel Rodriguez. And if you're a dancing fan, you've got Roger Gutierrez versus Rene Alvarado for the junior light bantamweight title, and then Felix Alvarado against Eric Lopez for the flyweight title. So it's boxing all over this Saturday. So get your feel, get in where you fit in, get the DVR burning, and check it out. And Professor mentioned it early, WNBA gets back into full effect off of the Olympic break. First game is Thursday, just one game. They get the on Sunday. And last but not least, congrats to Cyril Gagné, who won the heavyweight title in the UFC in a dominant fashion over Derek Lewis.
Yes.
Derek Lewis' hometown of Houston. He embarrassed that man in his hometown.
Yes. That was crucial. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
I definitely want to see him fight Ngannou. I definitely want to see that.
the fight I want to see, because they were training partners up until like a year and a half, 2 years ago, so they know each other. So that's going to be interesting. But the fight I would love to see is seeing Gone against John Jones.
Is John Jones ever going to fight again?
He's supposed to be trying to get that worked out with Ngannou.
No, John Jones' fight is with the man, because John Jones know how much money he brings into the UFC when he fights. So him and Dana been going back and forth. That's the only reason why John Jones hadn't fought, because he wants Dana to break him off, similar to the way he's broke off Conor.
You think Jones still has it?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. And I think the size matchup, and that's why he's so adamant on getting this big money, because he was going to fight these monsters. John Jones was going to come in like 220, 230, fighting these 260-pound monsters. He was like, man, I put myself at heavy risk. Right. Him and God, that'd be a real interesting fight.
So what you think the hang-up is? Right. Why can't they work that out? I mean,
that or cocaine.
Hey, that's a true story, man. Ouch. Can't you get mad at that one?
Wow. We will see. That's just on my wish list. Just like boxing, sometimes your wish lists don't happen.
Right.
All right, Professor, it's time for your takes, and then we get out of here.
Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and dive in. So this week, the post takes will focus on Major League Baseball Bakes post takes. All right, you'll know what that means as I'm going through. All right, number one, Bryce Harper is heating up, and so are the Phillies. With the Mets tanking in the standings and on the diamond since Jacob deGrom has been injured, the Braves are charging, but have key injuries to Ronald Acuna Jr. and Marcell Ozuna out for the season. The Phillies are still the talk of the town after a recent sweep of the Mets. Harper's on-bat plus slugging, or OPS, and on-base percentage, or OBP, lead MLB, y'all. Did y'all hear me correctly? Lead MLB in the second half of the season with 1.2 and 0.516 respectively. Poor Pat and poor Nats. Patrick Corbin leads the Major League Baseball with 26 home runs allowed as a pitcher. With Strasburg on the IR and Mad Max gone to the Wild Wild West, the Nationals are reeling in the pitching department. These prospects better pay off, or the Nats could be looking at pitching woes like the likes of what we have seen since they had Jordan Zimmerman. Before they had Jordan Zimmerman, Scherzer, and Strasburg were able to don the curly W uniforms. If you have not been paying attention, the Chicago Cubs literally cleared the deck. Chris Bryant was traded to the San Francisco Giants, Javier Baez to the New York Mets, Anthony Rizzo to the New York Yankees, and Craig Kimbrell to the crosstown rival Chicago White Sox. This has been a much-needed move to change the culture and get value back in return. Many, if not all of these players were expected to walk away in free agency. They are all far removed from the 2016 championship Cubs. Pitching counts the most in the postseason, and the Milwaukee Brewers skipper, Craig Counsell, knows it. His heavy pitchers rotation features Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, and Freddie Peralta. What Counsell must consider is when to give these boys proper rest for a deep postseason run. The Cincinnati Reds are going to keep that decision a tough one as they keep in close contact in the National League Central Division. I know that Mad Max has snatched the recent headlines in LA, but the hottest Dodgers pitcher is actually Walker Buehler. He is extremely efficient in going about 6 1/3 innings, staying below 100 pitches, and has an ERA of 1.08 in his last 5 outings. The Dodgers are certainly set for another run. If they get their embattled pitcher back from his legal troubles, I won't mention his name on this show, and they get a curtain call for those bats in time for the postseason run, this team should be unmatched as they charge towards another World Series title. If it ain't COVID, it's got to be the IR. The New York Yankees just seem to not always get out of their own way and always still in the headlines, but for the wrong reasons. Aside from COVID lists and outbreaks, Rizzo, didn't you just put on the pinstripes? These perennial all-stars are still getting hurt. Stop holding your breath, folks. It isn't Judge or Stanton this time. It is star shortstop Glaiber Torres. Okay, he's not exactly Derek Jeter, but missing him for 10 to 20 days could be significant as the Yankees are chasing Boston and Tampa in the standings. An MRI revealed a left thumb sprain, which is not a significant injury. The issue is more of the fact that Torres has been heating up, and this setback is sure to cool him down. The major four-letter network released its current MLB power rankings, and you all may be surprised who is at the top of the list. None other than the San Francisco Giants. Yeah, I know. Did they see what the Dodgers did at the trade deadline? They are ranked number 2. What the baseball Giants can brag about is the fact that their starting pitchers have the 4th lowest ERA in the majors, have a bullpen that has an ERA under 1, and have acquired the dynamic Chris Bryant mentioned earlier. The battle for California in baseball supremacy has begun and will be an interesting race. The third team on the power rankings could make you sick, as the Houston Astros just won't go away. Somehow, some way, just like the Patriots, they find a different way to cheat and want us to all believe that they are that good. Here's to rooting against the consummate cheating organizations, but I do want Cam Newton to win. Okay, back to baseball. I know you want the rest of the power rankings, but I won't reduplicate what you can find on the 4-letter website. You can see the rest for yourself there. Shameless plug. Wait, they're not paying us for this. Maybe I should not have even said the 4-letter because you all know who I'm talking about. Oh, well. To close out this failed segment of MLB Post Takes, I will leave you with this. COVID has robbed me of seeing my favorite Nats in person forever again, unless a Reg Bomb of the future tells me that Max is back. He and so many others are gone forever. In years past, I lost my favorite. That's a clown question, bro, player. Now, Max, Trey, Kyle, Jan, and Daniel are gone. These prospects gotten in return did not stop the shedding of a tear or two. Now I must wonder if we have seen the best of Strasburg and Corbin. If so, I only have Juan Soto left. I remember this team when they only had one viable star, and it was years before they got competitive. My heart just can't take much more. Play ball. Back to you, Big Reg.
And you know what is the truly saddest thing about the Nats? The Nats, just like the Washington Mystics, won a championship and never got the chance to celebrate it in the city.
Nope.
Now that team is gone. They played a season without fans, so they never got a chance to properly be celebrated as the World Series champions in Washington. It's sad. And now almost everybody is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get our final post, I just saw this pop up on ESPN. A classic example of an athlete that overestimated his value. Dennis Schroeder just agreed to a 1-year, $5.9 million deal with the Celtics.
Wow.
Last year, he was offered a 4-year, $80 to $85 million extension when he first signed with the Lakers to make it a 5-year deal, and he said no because he thought he was worth more and that he was going to wait and see what the market says his worth is. Guess what, son? Your market just said your worth is $6 million, and you just lost $80+ million guaranteed.
Yeah, but how do we know that he was actually trying to get the most amount of money that he can make? How do we know that he's not trying to go somewhere else so he can actually play ball? How do we know that he wasn't happy with the Lakers and he wanted to go somewhere else?
His play showed it.
He's a bum.
Oh, he wasn't happy. Yeah, he wasn't happy.
He was offered this money as soon as he signed with the Lakers the first time.
It's
so
a
if you want to
classic
be there,
example.
why you signed the first
Hey,
time?
So again, he ain't want to
It's
be
a
there.
classic. He wanted to be there. It's a classic example of don't let your mouth write checks that your butt can't cash. You wanted to be a starting point guard.
Oh man, you must have had
you did-
old heads talking to you back in the day.
He did.
Oh yeah. I mean, you wanted to be the starting point guard. You didn't play up to that, and then you had the nerve to ask for $1 million, $100 million contract. Get out of here! Come on.
Yeah, Boston let Fournier walk, so they had to
They
put
needed a backup point guard to back up Smart. So good on them.
He gonna be regretting that decision.
I know.
For a long
Maybe he is, and maybe he isn't.
Boy, they
We'll revisit it, J3.
I'm saying, y'all assuming.
He will forever be a 6-man, J3.
Okay.
Forever.
I'm just
All
saying.
right, let's go ahead and get up out of here. It's time for your final post. What you got for me, J3?
So first of all, I just want to say a special happy birthday to my oldest goddaughter, Jasmine. Her birthday is on Thursday.
Jasmine.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I want to do a bike challenge, y'all. I want to challenge you all to a bike ride. The summer is about to end, and we have yet to get out on the road. So I'm challenging y'all either Saturday or Sunday. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
I don't have a bike ride. I got a bike, no ride.
We can make that happen. That's small thing right there.
Okay, I'm there.
Let's do it.
Professor, you up.
Yeah, this must be one of them days where when I'm getting older, where I'm giving love to people that I hated back in the past. Shout out to Florida State University and the passing of a legend, Bob Bowden. You know, even though I will go to my grave, Mr. Bowden, knowing that Notre Dame should have had the championship in 1992. But you were a class act, as said by so many coaches, including Nick Saban. You've done a wonderful job. You brought up Jimbo Fisher and so many others. All the athletes like Ward Dunn and Deion Sanders, you know, all of those class acts that you have produced. We thank you and salute you for all the hard work that you've done. You not only coach football, but you coach men in real life. And that's something wonderful to say, because as I'm disappointed in Lou Holtz and the way that he's matriculated, I'm very proud that you were a man in your age to really do wonderful things, not just for college football, but for people in your community in general. So rest in peace, Bobby Bowden. You've done a great job here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Excellent, Professor. All right, since you're up.
All right. Well, you had taken my Dennis Schroeder take, Big Will.
Oh, my bad.
But thankfully, I have another one. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Jerry Jones, better late than never, of finally allowing Jimmy Johnson into the Dallas Cowboy Ring of Fame.
Good one. He said before I die, too.
Yeah, you caught that.
That was funny.
That
That was funny as a mother.
Yeah, it should have happened a long time ago, but better late than never, I guess.
True that.
Jerry never answered that question.
Yeah, he
I'm
did.
just saying.
He did.
Right. He didn't.
Nope.
He didn't.
He said he was going in. He didn't say when, but I'll leave it there. Ed, you up, partner.
I think this has been the final take for the last year and a half. Just everybody stay safe. I recently visited a popular tourist attraction in our state, and it was ridiculous. Nobody really was watching out for one another. So again, just be, diligent, cognizant of your surroundings. Make sure if you can't necessarily protect yourself, think about protecting others. And other than that, everybody stay safe.
Yes, sir.
Cool. I like to shout out two things. First and foremost, shout out my man, Big Rob. Appreciate you joining us this evening, partner. And again, congratulations on marrying your beautiful bride. Hope y'all are still enjoying the honeymoon and all that good stuff. Congratulations, Rob. I also like to give a shout out to my godson, who today went and actually moved in at Mount St. Mary's.
Yay!
Oh, okay.
Going away his first time to college, freshman year. He had to go a little early because he's going to be playing rugby for Mount St. Mary's. So they wanted him in a little early to do some things. And there's a possibility later on, if he stays there and likes it there, that he might try to walk on for basketball. So to my godson, Miles Kelly, good job, young man.
Absolutely.
Good job. Keep up the good work and don't get into too much trouble up there. We're only an hour and a half away. So, yeah, we can jump up if we need to.
You got that right.
The Mount.
All right. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for our next live show. You can also download this show and previous shows. You can do it multiple ways. First, our YouTube channel, Positional Sports Talk Show. Our Facebook page, Positional Sports Talk Show. If you are a podcaster and you like podcasts, hey, pick a podcast platform, put in Positional Sports Talk Show, and we're there. If you want to get in contact with us, please hit us up. We're on Twitter at Positions on SPO1. We got a Facebook page. If you're really into it and you want to interact with us more often, shoot us a message. We have a special Positional Sports Talk Show page that has a group of us, and we go back and forth and share stuff throughout the week. We'd love to have that grow some more. And of course, if you think we can do something to make the show better, please let us know. We always want to improve and keep growing. We'll see you next week. Same time, same bat channel, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be safe out there. Peace.
See ya.
Peace out.
God bless.